The How-To Hub for Sustainable Building Policy is a website that offers a number of back office tools to facilitate finding, cataloguing, and displaying the top 50 resources available for built environment policy. To illustrate this, I'm going to log in as one of the three different users. I've created 3 users to illustrate each of the 3 roles. The first is the curator user, then the expert user who comes in and makes adjustments and corrections to new materials that have been found, and finally the insights user. The volume of new material on the internet relevant to built environment policy is very large. So it's the job of the curator user to subscribe to various different feeds and publishers, and thus winnow down what's available to the most appropriate documents to support building policy. The website itself automatically sorts and groups these documents. Then, the expert users log in within the monthly cycle, and they make adjustments to the new documents found by the curator. These adjustments may mean moving the various publications up and down in lists, raising or lowering their quality value assessment, and making other corrections. Once there is new material in draft in a list, the insights editors, who are experts in various policy areas, log in and update the insights. In the previous video, you saw that an insight has a best practice section and a this month summary. The insight editor freshens the insight so that it talks about the new resources or rearranged resources chosen by the expert user. Finally, at the end of the month or the end of the cycle, the curator user logs back in and flushes the new ordered lists into the public area of the website, replacing last month's lists. I'll log in as the curator user. Once logged in, back office users get offered these extra tools at the top left. The main job of the curator is to moderate incoming new content. In this case, there's one new item. The curator visits a range of upstream publishers and subscribes to all sorts of lists and feeds. Then, when the new resources are imported into the How-To Hub, the curator will visit them and then assign initial classifications for each. For example, this resource here belongs in residential renovations under, let's say, overall targets. We'll assign a policy value of 6. We know the funder is IPIC, and thus we can now publish the resource. There may be many items backed up in this list. It's the curator's job to visit this particular moderate list on a regular basis. I'll now log out. It's then the job of the expert users to come in and arrange all the new material so that it can be made available to the general public. Each expert works in one or more of the 3 lists. We'll choose residential. In this tool for the back office, you can see that each policy target groups the current resources that are public, but they are shown in green. Below them is the new resource just moderated by the curator. So it's the job of the expert user to delist some of the older resources and then to list some of the newer resources. The expert can also drag and drop each of the resources into another order other than the quality order. Each expert may be assigned to one or more policy groups. You can see here that there are very many resources, and some have a lot more fresh material appended to the bottom. After a resource like this one has been published, it may be published again in a subsequent cycle, If not, it can simply be removed from this process. The resource can still be found on the site. It just won't appear here for consideration in an upcoming list. Once the expert users have started to rearrange the lists, the Insights authors can come in and freshen the content in each insight. The Insight user is only shown a list of all the insights on the website. For example, if we're looking at insights for targets, we can apply a filter. There are more than 35 insights. The insight that was shown in the previous video, appearing on the commercial retrofit list, can be accessed here. And then it's the job of the Insights user to update it. The part they update is typically the part that describes the resources that are going to be made available next month. So the Insights writer will do a quick read of them and write about them as they are relevant, in this case, to targets. Once the insights have been freshened in each of the policy areas, the curator user logs back in and is able to flush the top 50 list so that it now has the most recent content. The change that was made before by the expert user to include the iPeak publication can now be seen. And here it is. This ends the demonstration of the website and the 3 roles that are involved in freshening and correcting content on the site before it's made public.